You caught one.
Totally, totally.
Now what?
Yes.
Yeah, Glenn was saying the same thing, except then on Wednesday, you get the same kind of thing again. When do I just kind of get that? I said, about a year from now.
Totally. When are you like those back-to-back meetings? You can actually, yeah.
He goes, I got all these ideas. I said, well, don't forget.
Yeah. Well, we don't have our committee assignments yet either, so like trying to get a schedule going is impossible.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. We have a good 2 weeks before that.
Because we do our community solution first. Wednesday.
Well, and I think all of the committees that the supervisors aren't solely were announced. Because I remember like IDA had their committee announcements and that first meeting. Yeah, it's the rest for.
I mean, we know who's gonna be on it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just wrote down the supervisor's name, so I knew who to reach out
We gotta
to.
wait. First.
Nice article in the Reporter. I like that.
Wow. Look, wait till this week. It'll be another front page story.
All right.
Well, and wasn't trying to be, pushy or sarcastic. It was just saying the truth.
Yep.
We did, Wayne Beltrano was here. It is the truth. We did ask him about it. And I did speak to our lawyer and I did speak to Molinaro. And they all said the same thing. Ed, you can't refuse it. He's technically right, it's federally not legal. However, the state has passed the law and the feds are not gonna come into it, they're not gonna stop it. So, and if you try to stop them, you can get sued and you're gonna have a problem. So I said, that's what I thought, I was just trying to be, honest
Yep,
about it. I read the letter at our board meeting last Monday. And there were a few comments from the board members, and I basically said the same thing, that's it. You're also gonna see about NICEC, we're having an issue with NICEC. NICEC had, I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna come out in the paper anyway. NICEC,
By the way, you're recording right now.
oh, okay.
Way to kill the conversation.
No, it's gonna be in the paper today anyway.
I'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
But if anyone pops in, I don't know if you're expecting anyone on Zoom. If you are, you'll hear a ding and just let that person in. But I'll be right back.
There was a farmer in Hot that they have the machine to take care of the farm and they do it, and he noticed fluid coming up from the ground. He called it NICEC, and he says, there's something coming from the ground, I don't know what it is. They went down and took a look at it, and there's some kind of mineral oil that was. NICEC gets their deliveries from upstate towards the Buffalo area, and it comes in through these pipes, and they intersect with each other, and they turn them off and turn them on. They have different things. Sometimes it's gas, sometimes it's fluid. Well, apparently, something wasn't switched the right way. Some of the fluid got mixed in with the gas line. Just alone, a little bit of fluid would not be a whole major thing, but there was a lot going in there. But they found out where it was, they corrected it. However, the line, it still has all this fluid in it, so they've been tapping their line and draining out fluid as much as they can. It hasn't come over, it only affects Walton. It hasn't come over the mountain as of yet. And they said to us, well, it's not a big deal. I said, no, we need to make public announcement. I said, you had to put something in writing, which they did. And I read it at the meeting and it's reading the paper. And basically is, there's no need for panic. It's just that if it continued the way it was and we had a cold spell for like -10 for about a week or so, it would affect the pressure and therefore that would affect the people in Walton getting their gas. So they're coming into the fairground, they're gonna have an alternate line set up just in case anything happens, but they don't expect it because they already know what's going on and they've been working on it. So we let everybody know, so that'll be in the paper, so it's just, I made sure it was no emergency right now, no threats or anything right now, but just to keep you informed of what's going on. So,
Proactive.
because they thought that, I said, if someone going to the bathroom in the corner, it's gonna be in the front line paper, so you can't put a truck over there and think no one's gonna notice it.
Yeah.
So that's it. So, I just like to be transparent, that's fine. And good luck. I know it's gonna be challenging.
Thank you. Thanks.
Could be very challenging. You know that.
She's a-
No, I had no, I'm sure she did. But you had a lot, didn't they have like 9 or 10 new supervisors?
There's, I think, 6 of us.
Six
Yeah.
of us, okay, I
Yeah.
knew there was that. That's. you have
It's
a bit-
significant enough,
It's
yeah.
significant enough, I mean, because the way you guys vote, it's like by population, right? You have,
It's weighted.
I always wonder how they got away with, I thought it would be fair to let everybody vote as one, but I guess it all goes by population.
That's how it was charted originally. They
Yeah.
never changed it.
So if you had Delhi and Walton and Sydney,
I think that's.
Margaretville, you got it.
Margaretville,
Yes.
you've got a lot.
Yeah,
You-
Hancock's
you-
big.
you-
I was gonna say, if you do Sydney, Walton, Hancock, and Margaretville, that's it.
It's over.
It's over,
So,
yeah.
game over.
They all know that.
I suppose we're ready to get started.
Yeah.
Might as well. Person that I had invited and reminded, and she isn't here. So I'm not quite sure why. She was going to talk to us about the civil service requirements. Just to point it out for everyone that you really should be aware, because even though your positions may not be civil service positions, that doesn't mean you don't have to file paperwork with the civil service department. Even for your clerks, et cetera, they have to be filed with their notification made for that position. I'm sorry she isn't here today to talk about that.
Who are you talking to?
Kara,
Is their office is right across the hall from us.
and I've been there a couple times.
I
so.
can-
Knock on the door.
You don't have our number, right?
I don't have her number.
Okay.
But it troubles me a little bit because I had her as she's a former student of mine, and she's a very, very conscientious individual and very, very good at what she does. So I'm a little concerned that something might come up or happen.
Yes, I'm sure so.
Would have delayed her. So, other than that, we probably should address, Jim, you want to take a couple minutes?
Sure. Last month I handed out copies of a proposal from LeBear's group. And I know some of you were not here. And I've got copies that I brought again. Anybody missing these copies?
I have them, I have a copy of that in my email. But take this, but I can email it, Jeff, I'll email it to you.
I've got a
You
copy.
get it in email too?
Thank you.
Email it to
I
everybody. so
don't
they-
have the email copy. I have the paper copy.
I have
but I
the
can-
email copy, but I can.
I
give
need
it to
one.
you- give
You
it the
need
email
one?
copy,
Yes,
so
thank
they can email to all the board members.
Maya, you
I
got
have
one?
one, yep.
And we've got more and can make more. The proposal that I handed out is, I tried to get the Ben Seiden from LeBear's to come down to this meeting, but he is out in Watertown last night, and he wasn't gonna drive back from Watertown. He didn't care who I was. That's what he told me. So he's staying overnight in Watertown. And, but he'd like to come to next month's meeting. The proposal is for $80,000 overall for the 10 villages. We've talked to O'Connor Foundation. And we've got O'Connor Foundation willing to step in for half of that. I mean, which is their typical grant amount. They're like 100% match on all the grants that they do. So would come in for 40,000. I have talked to the county. And I'm waiting for a chance to get to the committee that oversees the ARPA funding, which is federal money from the COVID recovery. I've asked Tina for 20,000. So that would make a total of 60,000. And my thought was that would leave a shortage of 20,000, which would be $2,000 per municipality, and we could go from there. I mean, I can still look for more funding in different places, but that's where I'm at today.
Any questions, discussion, thoughts?
What's the process?
I'm more than said,
Is everybody taking it back to their village already or going to? Or what's the process?
I will,
I have.
I haven't yet. I've got it in email. I'm gonna email it out to them. I wanted to clarify. I was thinking that someone would be here from LaBerge. I'm trying to figure out how I can say it really comes to our advantage to have to pay this money to do
Well,
that.
that's
What do you really, are we expect to get out of it?
That's
Is
what I
that we're gonna
wanted.
get, our grants will be easier to obtain because we had this thing done?
yes. There's a whole laundry list of programs that the state would make available if you had.
That would not be available.
They're not available now, the way everything is in their work. And let me back up and give you a little background on this whole thing. In 2017, then Governor Cuomo came out with this program. And he was trying to encourage mergers and so forth to take place and reduce the number of municipalities. That was a real bug with him. So he put this program together for shared services at the least. And he put a requirement out that all counties in the state had to do a shared services plan and submit them to the state by a certain date. And there's 62 counties in New York State. All of them submitted their plan to the state except for Delaware County. We're the only one that did not do it. I sat through a couple of committee meetings back then where we talked about shared services and, different ideas. And I thought that they were going to, the intent was to write up a plan and file it with the state as required. But the board decided after this meeting that they weren't gonna do the formal plan or file it with the state because they felt that they were doing everything they possibly could do for shared services, which I totally disagree with. I think they're just scratching the surface. And so what Cuomo did was when he sent out this ruling that their executive order that all counties had to comply with, the way he put teeth into that executive order was he said, here's a whole laundry list of grants and we will help pay for shared services programs that you initiate if you have this plan filed. If you don't have the plan filed, you're not eligible to even apply for these grants. So Delaware County and all the municipalities in Delaware County are hung out to dry.
So what if we get them back to give kind of the same presentation that we got?
Sure.
at least to
The-
us with maybe the supervisors even of the 10 municipalities to start with,
they'll
to get us some support from the.
Ben, I talked to Ben and he committed to come down to the next meeting of this group in February. If we need a bigger room, we can get a bigger room, but and I'll work with Jeff on that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, I personally, I think at this point, our focus is just trying to get ourselves organized
Oh, I understand.
under a unified
Mhm.
plan and before we start acting on
Yep.
anything. I'm not sure if anybody else feels that way, but that's kind of where my focus is right at the moment. Once we have everything organized, we had already put together a priority list of things that we wish to achieve. And there are one or two things prior to the shared decision-making part of this, that we had prioritized, that we were looking at. We've already talked about, there are a few things that we would love to look at, in terms of shared services. One of those is code enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there are a few others that I think experimentally, if we can make one or two of those things work, I think it opens the door for
Mhm.
something like this. So I'm not sure we're prepared to go right now. With this, but it's something I think we should certainly look at, not too far down the road, here,
Mhm.
months anyway.
Sure.
I don't know, again, if everybody feels the same way or not.
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. I'm Ricky Kuhn from Hancock. I'm a trustee member there. So this was never brought up to our attention. So it's just something new that, I'm hearing, so. Absolutely, I like it.
I know, you, Jim, that for the villages, sometimes like it's tough. Come up, I know it's not a big amount of money, but it's kind of, sometimes it's not. I'm looking now just for DPW to come up with another $30,000 this budget, and the police department at least that much. So we got to come up with another 60,000. When we do our 1% of our budget is like 12,000. So I mean, that's just doing it alone. If we had nothing else, that would be raising our taxes 7%, 6-7%. So I'm that, I mean, I hear you. I think 1,000 would be a lot easier to get 2,000. I guess, but I'm only asking, do you think that you could get any more money from any place else?
I'm willing to try.
Try,
I
I think it's a great idea. My other question to you is, because the county has not filed shared services with the state, if we go ahead and do this program and get the study, is that gonna hold us back because the county is not in on this? You sure, right?
Because when you got the study, that means that the 10 of you are eligible for this.
Okay, so we would be eligible, but the county would
say-
have to do.
Say for example, you decide that, okay, we wanna try to hire one code enforcement officer to work exclusively for the 10 villages. And we're gonna put out an RFP and find the best person we can find, put them to work at a competitive salary. And we're each gonna pay 1/10
Right, of
of
what is
the
salary,
person's
right.
salary, and they're our code enforcement guy exclusively. And they can spend a month in each municipality doing fire inspections and do building permits and stuff as needed. That's got to be a huge savings to all of you. And you can get a percentage of that cost of doing that reimbursed from the state,
Because we have,
because you have this plan. in
but that's
place.
that's the kind of question I was asking.
That's.
How do I
Yeah.
explain to them?
Or say, you look at this, and I keep going back to law enforcement, because truly believe that there's a huge savings there. Just because of the way we do law enforcement in this
So
county.
explain anything about law enforcement. How would we get,
Supposing we sat down with the 10 of you and the sheriff's department and the state police and have an honest and open discussion and say, we're paying a fortune for law enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what your budget is. I know
our
Phil
budget's
Knight's
like
budget
about
is,
500,000 a year. You're 8,000, 800,000, you know, 550, maybe close to 6,000.
And I know not everybody has law enforcement, but I'm
Well,
just,
that's part of the problem too.
I'm picking on that one because
No, but that's part of the problem
yeah,
too.
it-
I mean, even if you have the money available,
to
it's
me,
trying to
it's,
get somebody.
to me, it's just a glaring damn thing.
It's
And,
a big
you know,
thing in
you,
Sydney right now. I don't know how I'm gonna keep our full-time staff. I just don't see how it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
you're the
this
same,
year.
you're in the same boat as us, yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to downsize, quite honestly. I don't
Mhm.
think I got a choice.
You know, one thing that I think it may shake out from this whole thing, is there may be some municipalities that say, maybe we should do some kind of a merger with the town and work more closely with the town.
No, I'm sorry.
I know,
Some towns, our
Some
town,
relationships
we,
strained.
we
I
tried,
know
we
personalities. I
we
think that-
tried that with our town.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we don't have nothing to do with it. I said, but our guys are going out there and answering calls, but just chip in a little bit. No, we don't have nothing to do with it. So the concept is great. And if it was me, I would say, yeah, it's a good idea because you're responding, you're helping out each other. We should share some of it.
You have to get buy-in from the town, that's the problem. They don't wanna help, you can't twist their arm. to
No,
do
no,
it.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
So-
And it's, this whole setup that we have in Delaware County is the most antiquated organization of municipal governments that you'll ever see anyplace.
Absolutely.
And I think there's only 2 counties out of 62 in the state that still have a board of supervisors.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they have?
They have county
Managers.
representatives, legislators. They divide the county up into.
So in other words,
six
they have a town board and a village board, but they have a county.
legislators.
Legislator, and usually a county manager.
And you might have 6 districts in the county, and each district elects their legislator.
So it
And
was
the
cut
si-
down to like 1/3 of what
And,
you
and
got
the
there
6
now.
of them go have their meetings and so forth. And those 6 actually could become full-time employees of the county at a decent salary.
Right.
And, you know, instead of the underpaid salary that they get now, it's not, you know,
Wayne and I just had this conversation yesterday, Marshfield, about how the organizational structure, because we both agreed if we could just focus on our towns and not
exactly,
county,
exactly.
and you have a different person, I mean, not that we aren't professional, but a professional person that's running the county.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Margaret.
it makes sense.
Right.
Number of years ago, Glenn Nealon and I were putting together the law for the board of supervisors to pass for the bed tax. And Marge Miller, she was in office at the time. And she wanted to review this thing. And so we gave her a copy of it before we submitted it to the board. And so she came back to the next board meeting and met with Glenn and I before the board meeting. And she had marked up the proposal that we gave her. And there was one paragraph in there that changed the whole concept of the thing to say that the proceeds of the bed tax would be spent in a direct proportion to how it was brought in
Collected, yeah.
from each town.
It-
And
That doesn't matter.
I looked at it, and it would have required that something like 40-some% of the proceeds of the sales tax went to the town of Middleton. And I said, why did you want to do that? I mean,
Yeah, no.
self-defeating. I mean, we want to promote the county. And that's what we're gonna use this money for, not each individual township. And her answer to me was because I can. And I'm like,
And you know Marge well enough.
and my
It doesn't
response
seem-
to her was, Marge, you wear two hats. When you're in this room, you wear your county hat. When you're back in Margaretville in the town hall, you wear your town hat. And you have to remember which hat to bring with you. when you go to the
Well,
meeting.
it's part of the problem though.
It's a huge
It
part.
is.
It
It's
is
hard
the
to do.
problem,
It-
yeah.
Yeah, I get it,
That
because
is the problem.
It is the
as
problem.
a
It's a real
supervisor,
balance.
you make a decision that screws your town big time,
Totally.
so I get it.
So that's why I'm such a proponent of this legislature, county legislature.
I think that makes sense.
One other question I had about this, thing. So obviously the county opted out of it. If we as the villages pony up some money along with your grants and do it, does the county get to use it now? Can they go apply for the grants?
Nope.
Cause I know that's one thing my board's gonna ask.
Nope.
Why are we
just-
paying
just
something the
villages.
county refused to do?
Just the villages.
Say too, do you feel that the amount of money is a little bit tight for your budget as well? Do you think it's a little bit? Be honest, I mean, I don't wanna be the only one saying
Everything's tight
that.
right now, we're in big trouble, as you
Yeah,
probably,
you're-
well
you're-
read.
But I want everybody to
Yeah.
chime in and.
Could I come up with it? Probably, truthfully, I wouldn't take it out of the village budget, I'm good, I would go to the Sydney United Way and get them to pony it up for us.
Sydney United Way.
You said $2,000, right?
That,
If all 10,
and,
If everybody agrees, right?
and
it
listen,
shouldn't be
the
whole-
$2,000 figure, that was my figure.
Uh-huh.
Because I threw it in there because I believe that in order for a program to be effective, everybody has to have some,
Some kind
Skin in the
Skin in the
game, right,
game.
no, absolutely.
and so is it $500? Is that the right amount, or $2,000 the right amount? I don't know.
Yeah.
I quickly found all but $2,000 of it. And yeah, I can go back to, go to other sources
Well,
and see if I can dig up another
I'd have to go back,
10,000.
I'd have to go back and obviously ask, but I don't know if $2,000, I don't think that's too steep, but that's something that I'd have to find out
Mhm.
for us.
Right, I'll get it, I get it. But I think it's good to have these discussions.
Especially what this can do. This can obviously open the door. We're all having problems finding people. Code enforcers, assessors. We just had an assessor pass.
Yep.
He passed away and now we had to put a person who worked for the town in. So, there's always these types of services that end up. Stuff
I mean,
happens, you can't find people.
I have talked until I'm blue in the face because I initially thought that the county should create two departments and they should create a code enforcement division and they should create a department, and they should create a tax assessment. division.
Yeah.
And then you can get away with, I think, a smaller number of people. Put them in at a better salary, you're gonna get high quality people.
Yep.
And you're gonna be able to have them trained well.
Yeah.
And I think the training is a very important thing. At the IDA, we do a lot of these pilot agreements for businesses and so forth.
Right.
And you cannot believe what we go through dealing with some of the assessors on these pilot agreements, just because they don't understand it.
Absolutely. This one that we put in place, he's gonna have to go get, training to understand more, of course.
And I think if you had a county department to oversee that, the training is done as it should be.
And the training is much harder now than what it was years
We
ago.
can't
Which is
rely
good.
on the good old boy system.
Right.
For
And some
where
things
this
are
stuff-
overlooked, like, I don't know to have the guy go get trained, there's
Yeah.
some things that the county obviously knows
Yeah.
and can offer those type of
Yeah.
things.
Does your village assessor just do the village, and then the town assessor does anything that's not in the village?
Yeah, there was two separate
Otherwise,
assessors.
we share assessor,
Yeah,
Yeah, we did too. We have the town.
We have the town
town
assessor.
and village
Town
share
does
their
both, yeah.
assessors, because you're doing double the work.
yeah. I think we did actually share I'd have to double check and see, because the one guy that was doing it did, I believe he did Village and Town, and then he passed away, and then the other guy that we brought back in, he said he was a town assessor. Which I don't understand why he didn't do the village as well, but I think it's kind of both for us. And our town supervisors, we don't even get along with each other, it seems like. I'm gonna start going to the town meetings, because I just wanna show my face.
And the assessment is such an important position, because
I feel fortunate, I get along fine with mine.
when you get somebody out actually doing the assessment, all of a sudden they discover, my God, here's a house that got built and there's no building permit for it.
Yeah.
And so that means it's not on the tax rolls, and, you know, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, oh yeah, the one guy that we hired, that we brought in, he said for the town, he went out to some pheasant farm, and there were 6 buildings that were built that were
Absolutely,
never on the tax roll.
that's all over this county.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
so I think a lot of this stuff seems like a big undertaking, but at the end of the day, it's gonna generate a lot of more revenue for the municipalities involved.
And we used to, our assessor before used to do the town and the village. And then he retired.
Yeah.
And he went to work part-time for the town. He said, I'm not doing the village, so we had to go get it, so otherwise, yeah, I think we should have, they should.
Because the town is probably offering you a few more bucks an hour. Yeah, I get it.
It's a shame, because we should all be working together, but it seems like sometimes we're competing against each other. That's why I've been talking to some of the members here, I'm saying, like, when it comes to DPW and police, we should get together and make some kind of agreement that we have some kind of fair price in between. If they want to give more money, like cost of living or something like that, you could do that, but instead of killing each other, beating each other up, we're losing our police officers to the county, then we're losing it to this town, or Colchester makes this money, and then we're training and we're losing them. And you were just talking about that, right?
Right, but as I told you, I think that goes against fair labor practices.
I don't know how, I mean.
We can negotiate.
No, the union, no, I mean, I know the unions will come in and do
Yeah.
something, but we as a board, we can come up with it. But when we go to raise prices, we'll say, what are you paying for a full-time chief?
We
Or what are
can,
you paying for a full-time chief?
Mhm.
And if we're having somebody who's coming in, we have at least an idea of where to start with negotiating. Maybe not the Teamsters so much as the police, union, but the other stuff. we can.
I think, bottom line, I think there's a lot of rocks that we can overturn, to look for
Yes.
savings. And I think it's just a very inefficient
Yeah.
way of running government.
That's why I think it's good that we do this, because we're getting together and we're putting our minds together to do something better.
I mean, in all honesty, Delhi has, I talk about this all the time, and when I speak at different dinners and stuff like that. And Delaware County has 19 towns, 10 villages, and 1 county. That's 30 layers of government, all to oversee the needs of 45,000 people.
Put it like that, yeah.
That's pretty scary. And it was set up that way years ago when everybody traveled by horse, and it was an overnight trip from Hancock to Delhi to come to a board meeting. So that's why we set up 19 townships. There used to be 6 in the county,
Originally,
but they changed it to 19.
Wow.
So that's, you know, we're still trying to manage on that basis.
Well, if you had a county manager like you were talking about, and some 6, break it into 6, it would go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, yeah.
I'm trying to find a email that I received from NICOM, being on the board for the host communities for the colleges. And the reason I was trying to find it was because there's a probably 2-paragraph message from Cobleskill in amongst those, in which they were talking about their recent, problem with the police and they'd all resigned, et cetera. And of course, their mayor was claiming that, the problem wasn't as big as was being blown up in the media, but the bottom line was that they had eventually, because they readjusted their hours of service and the demand for police, were saving approximately 400,000 a year. So I have to investigate that a little bit further. I'm gonna send some emails to see exactly how that was accomplished.
Well,
And what was done.
you can talk to the consultant to put that together.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was LeBear.
Yeah.
It's in this proposal.
I'm not sure, because they still maintain the village police force.
Yeah.
According to but it was through adjusting their hours, and that forced the county to have to cover at certain times. But it wasn't, from what I was reading, I'm not sure that it was necessarily a mutual agreement, but that's something I have to find out.
Well, I mean, that's something we can ask when Ben Seiden comes next month, we can talk about that with him and get his side of it. Because he was the one that was involved in putting that whole plan together.
And in the meantime, I'll talk to the mayor to get there.
Because I started, my initial conversation with Ben, that LeBear's was triggered by your issue with the SUNY funding.
Right.
And, you know, I was looking for somebody that could step in and help out with that situation. And that's why I talked to him. And he immediately started talking about coastal. So, yeah, he's intimately involved in coastal.
So
That doesn't sound right.
obviously, there's some money to be paid there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how we go about it, because each one of the communities has different demands. I mean,
Oh, no question.
for Delhi, we have to account for the college and the college students and when they're in session and when weekends come and,
And,
you know. So each one of the villages is gonna have their own particular needs when it comes to the police force.
but again, I've beat this horse to death too, when I talk to different groups, is, you know, I live 3 miles outside of the village. And there are times when I drive that 3 mile route every day. And there are times when I run through 3 sets of radar setups by 3 different police departments to go 3 miles.
Well,
And it's happened more than once.
I haven't had that experience, but. If there's no further discussion or comments, can we move on to the paper that we received from Monroe County on their Association of Villages bylaws? I think, did everybody have a chance to look those over?
No.
I have not.
I don't know if I have any more copies of it. I have one copy.
I can make copies if any.
Can you?
How
That would be
many?
great.
At least 2. At least 2 that I know.
I need one.
Do you want to, here, do you need
I don't know
one?
what the hell, paper's cheap.
Once we get that, we can Did you see anything in here, John, that you would change other than Monroe to Delaware?
No, not, I mean, nothing that really say, we just have to kind of change it to fit.
Fit us,
As far as titles and names and
Were those of you
and
that,
amounts or whatever, you know, make it work.
right, which is something that we probably should talk about in terms of a dues or membership fee or I don't know if Ed had an idea of what initially we might start with, or if I recall correctly, they said that they were spending their annual dues was 800, 500.
I think they're
I
eight.
think it was 8 as well. I don't know if we feel that something like that is too high or not high enough.
Well, we're just starting. To put some money in the account, the more we're gonna be asking for some more money, I would say like 500 would be a fair, because you figure 10, that's $5,000. I mean, not 5,000, 2,500. It's something to have in there. We don't have no expenses or anything right now. And that we go along, we see it down.
One of the things that interested me that he was talking about was the fact that they had, when the county had threatened to take away their sales tax revenue, that they had hired a lawyer and sued the county. Which is something that I suppose that becomes a tool in our arsenal, but that would be, well, he didn't.
Well, I mean, that could be a tool we could
Right.
use, but I would.
Not right away.
Rather than throw that out,
Right.
I would rather just say, let's talk to the county and see how receptive they are. I think they may be more receptive than we think. And if we get like
I'm just talking about an
Yeah.
initial fee, what
Yeah.
potential usages it
Right.
might have.
Can I put you on the spot?
Sure,
How do you feel about that?
being sued as a
No,
county
no,
or-
no, no, the fact of giving the villages some of the sales tax revenue.
I'm definitely for it. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, I understand the hesitation of the towns that don't have villages, but if you have a village in your town, that's what's generating the revenue. And I think the county is inefficient in the way they spend a lot of their money. So why not bring it back local and let them spend it?
I think at one of the meetings, I talked about deposit. And I talked a little bit more to them a few weeks ago, just to clarify a little bit more. And they're very upset. Half, as you know, half the village is in Delaware County, the other half is in Broome County. Broome County does all the foreclosures for them, like most of the other counties throughout the state. And Broome County gave them, I think it was $100,000 or $150,000 from sales tax, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, because they got like $40 million. So I mean,
It is,
it-
it
but
is
for
for a village.
the village,
Yeah,
but for the village, it's a huge amount.
yeah.
He said, to give you an example of what happens, when it came tax time, doing the budget, the Broome County portion of deposit had a decrease in taxes 5%. When it came time to do the Delaware County portion of it, they had an increase of 4%. So there was a 9-point swing. And he said the residents of Delaware County part of deposit are very, very upset. And they're looking to speak to the legislators to see if they can make the whole village part of Broome County versus
Sure.
Delaware County. So I don't know what the outcome is gonna be, but they're supposed to be voting on it and everything. So, but that just gives you an idea. Now, imagine all of us getting, say, 100,000. I mean, let's just cut this.
10 villages at 100,000 each, that's $1 million. They've increased their revenue 9 million since
Right.
COVID each year. So this was revenue they weren't even anticipating.
And I'm lowballing, and I'm
COVID
saying, just imagine, I
It'd be
mean,
great. I think I'd be utterly amazed if they're willing to do that. I think we all know how they're gonna, what they're gonna say.
like I said, our 1% of our budget is like 12 or 13,000, so I mean, 100,000 is 9 points on our budget, that's a big number for us. So,
I do
and it's
know
fair.
that prior to the change, that there was a movement afoot, and that I'm not sure what Mark's formula was for divvying up the
Votes and, yeah.
the
Yeah.
taxes, so that it would be so that the larger villages wouldn't be subsidizing the smaller villages through the sales tax, et cetera. But I wish I knew what that formula was. He probably,
I'll go ask him.
yeah, ask
Yeah,
him what
I mean-
this formula was. I have maintained that there must be a way of getting from the state what each community generates in sales tax.
Yeah.
You would
Of course,
think,
yeah.
I have not found a way, because when we presented to them, that was our first data point, was how much does Delhi bring in? And we could not find that
The state
information.
doesn't seem to want to give that number out.
No.
I'm sure
You would think that
generated.
they, somebody has it.
I'm sure it's there, and
It's in
it's
the
just an
computer. It's a matter
algorithm
of
in a
just pushing a button
computer,
and getting that
not,
number.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it was close at that point that he seemed to think that the votes were there. I've heard recently that someone thought that even now the votes are probably there to be able to get that through. And I completely agree, now is not the time to go ranting, raving, jumping up and down and hollering.
Yeah, I just don't want the county to think that, give us those, oh, we're gonna get the lawyer, we're gonna start suing you. No, I just rather just bring up the question and say, listen, this is what 95% of the state is doing now already. Why not just join it? We don't want the whole pie, we just want a little piece of it. Let's just give us a
A
little
piece
piece.
of the post-COVID pie, I mean,
Yeah,
not even
right.
what they were,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's be honest, we need it to stay in business. I think every one of our villages are keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I truly believe if I kept going the way I am, Cindy would be bankrupt in 2 years. I gotta switch something. I truly believe that.
Most of the villages are running off of what reserves
Yeah.
they had.
That's
And that
awesome.
won't last
They're gonna run out
forever.
sooner or later. Thank you.
I know that when one of our trustees and I went to the county the last time and asking them and talking about property taxes as well as sales taxes, that there one individual in particular who seems to be adamant that, and I know there's two as well, who are adamant
I'm glad you said that.
We're evident that it will not happen, but they're not necessarily in the majority anymore. And it's from a place that they don't have a village, and I'm sure that's a
Part
large
of the-
part
Yep.
why they're so adamantly against it, but I think we stand a good chance. I think we have an opportunity. But getting back to this, is everyone in favor of becoming the association, first of all?
I would suggest, just my little suggestion, that something be put on a paper given to all the mayors throughout the 10 mayors. So this way we know where everybody stands. As far as news, as far as this reverse thing, and because if we don't get everybody in on it, we're out. You know what I mean? We need to get
Or changes in
get-
numbers.
or get change numbers or come up with something different. You know what I mean? So,
I'm referring to this document.
oh, you thought about just
Well, no,
but even on that,
think
to
right,
do
even with that,
even
because
with,
if
but both. I mean, at the same time, don't just send out
Definitely.
for this, but send out.
Hancock
for the
doesn't
reverse
want
thing
to
as
for
well.
some reason.
I don't even know if we know about all this stuff. I'm texting my clerk and they never got it, they never received an email about this and I don't know
How
about
about,
this.
but
so
how
I'm-
about the dues? At least have everybody give you an idea.
That's
First
why-
off, they wanna
that's
do
why-
the association and then how much money to put out a number and see what all of them say.
But that's why we're
We're only,
mostly
yeah,
here.
but we're still missing something. so.
Yeah.
This is, well, I guess the majority rules, right?
Yeah,
Well, I'm not necessarily, as he pointed out the other day, they have. Members of their association that on certain occasions have abstained,
Opted out,
withdrawn
yeah.
from participation in whatever was.
Yeah.
Taking place, it's not a binding,
No, I'd like to keep us
Agreement.
all though together. We're just starting with that, so if we don't make it too. Hit too much, you may not, I don't wanna scare anybody away either, you know what I mean? I don't mean just you, I'm talking about. To me, when we start saying thousands and thousands, it just hits everybody when they're hurting.
that's why I just wanna talk 500.
I think it's good, I don't feel it's a problem at all. I know it's not much money to start out with, but it's something to have in account. And if we have to know more later on, then we can go back and get more.
Right. I'll send out, how about if I send out an email? Meetings tomorrow, I'll try and send it out tomorrow. A request for everyone to take a look at these, go over them, let us know, do they want to be a part of the association? And does $500 initial fee sound agreeable?
That's fair, yeah, fair.
Does that sound good, John? Okay.
Jeff, I just have a question, and it's tangential at best, but I mean, these bylaws are pretty standard, nothing, no, this pretty plain vanilla stuff. But how is this would this association actually be incorporated?
No.
No, it's just a
Association
informal.
under village law, under state law for villages, we can associate, we can have an
Okay.
association.
Okay, great,
In
thank you.
fact,
That was just my-
Wayne Beltrano was saying that.
suggested no.
he said, don't
I
incorporate.
hope that we can do some organizational things though, because we really need to start.
We need to get to the county and
Yeah,
ask
we
for
need to
that.
start
We do.
moving
We need to
forward.
start asking the county for that sales tax.
Yeah.
true.
So
Agreed.
if it's agreeable to us, the organization on section 7 talks about having a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. If I recall correctly, the president from Monroe, because it rotates yearly, usually brought their clerk with them to be the secretary.
That's what he said, yep.
Did any of you bring that up to your clerk? See,
Yeah, because you're gonna have a lot of
Yes.
pushback.
Okay.
I did,
no,
I did not.
how we know?
went very well,
No, I was surprised that mine didn't have a fit, but
yeah.
You might have it.
Jody did.
Deep breath. Okay.
And I completely agree with the Monroe County, method of doing it because through rotation each year. I don't know how everybody else felt about that.
We could do it every year, we could do it like we do for mayors every 2 years, we could do that too. I mean, we can make up any way we want to do it, right? But
And we are exempt from that voting law, at
Yeah.
least for now.
So you want everybody to show these to all the boards and everything, and they kind of come for me, then we can vote on it, or you want to do it
I was
now?
kind of hoping we could get started. Seems like we spun our tires for a
Yeah,
little
agreed.
while now.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody feels that way or just feel like we need to.
Or show that we're moving.
Yeah, I'd like to move forward. Sooner we can get to the county, the better off we are.
Then I'm gonna do like a, have like a letterhead that we'll put together with our, I think that would be good, with what we're gonna call ourselves. And then on the letterhead, maybe we could have the members, of the villages or the mayors, however we wanna do it. And this way, when we send out something to the county or something like that, with a letterhead, I think it would be more. Let's see what I wanna use, it shows more forceful that it's not just one person, it's a group.
It's a letterhead, and it's all the mayors have signed it, it's gonna be a lot more,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so just, okay.
So is there someone that would like to take over the office of being president for the next year? Since it is January, we know January to January. Year new president.
Oh,
We
you
could
wanna
do it alphabetically.
I don't mind, but if there's somebody else that would prefer to do it, then
You're
fine.
good. You're good, I don't have a problem with it.
He's right.
But some may not want it, so you really have to see who wants.
The vice president.
I can give you an
Next time I'll do it, I don't gotta be around.
If I can offer an example, when the chamber was engaged in regional tourism efforts, we have the Catskill Association for Tourism Services, and there's a president and a vice president, and it rotates between the 4 counties that are part of that vacation region, and it's done alphabetically, so when let's see, when Ulster is the president, Delaware being the next moving around the alphabet would be vice president, and that's for a 2-year period. So what happens is that vice president kind of becomes aware of, it's only 4 counties, but so if in an alphabetical, I think Delhi's first alphabetically. Followed by deposit. So you may want to do something like that, but
Doesn't matter to me, whatever the group wants to do, I mean.
It's equitable that way. I mean, everybody gets a turn in it, you know.
The only problem is that the people from the deposit haven't been.
Yeah,
At all.
you got deposit, you got Hobart that hasn't been to anything.
right.
Well, then we would have to just, do we exclude them? Because they're not here to represent or even part of it.
No, but I think that at some point, until there's representation here, at which point they can be put into the list.
Rotation.
You can't be an officer until June.
Right. So,
That's why if you send out the thing, that everybody's that wants to participate, they have this little association, and we know that all 10 or whatever, this way we know, at least where we start out from.
I think for this year, you already agreed to be president. I heard that you could be vice president. I think we should do that to get rolling and moving.
Yeah.
We can always change it when we're up and strong, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We need to keep the momentum. We got it. We need to keep moving forward.
the only other one that I would say that we would need would be a treasurer. Because I know Kim will be willing to do the secretary part. But we do need a treasurer for that $5,000. Community contributes 500. it would be- Sure. John?
All right. Twisted his arm.
He likes to sit in the back. So what I will do is revamp this, put it into the best terms. And if I'm not mistaken, the gentleman from where was it? Honey I Falls said that we could certainly use this as a boilerplate. What I will look to do is after you've looked it over, checked it, if everybody can just sign it and send it back to me by email, and I will keep copies of that so that at least we have some agreement in all of that. I'm not sure what else we would need to do in regard to this. But what I would say is that over the course of the next month, prior to next month's meeting, I will try to touch base with Maya for a little bit, to see where our first or initial contact with the county should be and where that approach should come. To whether we need to sit down with Tina for a private meeting, or whether we need to sit down with the budget committee for a private meeting, or what would be our best approach to begin our, let's call it the plan.
Decision seemed to me like honestly, we ought to get a letterhead, we ought to draft a letter, get all the mayors to sign it and send them the letter requesting it. Then they're gonna take and put it in the committee to
Probably
argue
with
with
the
us.
budget committee, maybe with Tina
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
and go from there.
But don't we, as a board, not as a board, I mean, as a new organization, we have to run this whole idea through our boards and have them vote on it.
Absolutely.
Because that's the first thing, because as I learned, doing this for 16 years, sometimes I say I do things, if you don't get board approval, it comes back and bites you in the butt. So each one of us should run it through our boards and say, first, do we, as a board, agree that we belong to this organization? And then we're gonna, I don't know, let's come up with, and then we come back and we know at least where we stand next month, okay?
And is there gonna be a name for the association?
Delaware County Association of
Mayors,
Villages,
villages?
that's what
Or
they
mayors,
want.
yeah.
Or we can do mayors, if that's what you would prefer.
Well, they call the county, they call them supervisors, right? They don't county supervisors, right?
No, town supervisors, county legislators.
Called the council of mayors.
Delaware County Council Mayor, yes, that's what I would. Because when we say the mayor, that means the whole board, everybody, it's just like we say supervisors, you say the whole. Who was our treasurer?
John,
John?
since Margaretville's got all the money. we'll-
They have a-
Yeah.
Well, they don't fall like us, right? Do we have to give somebody else the money?
Somebody's gotta know what they're doing with the money.
Now, when you go and I know as from being in the village, when you go to set up an account, you have to have two signatures.
And at some point, if I need to, I can come over to Margaretville.
Or, well, I mean, you could, I mean.
Depends on where.
Goes
where
through
it's
the
at.
Delaware Bank, I mean, there's a branch down there, we can.
So now, once board approved, do we create this organization just ourselves, or does it have to be registered?
No, there's
Just
no
us?
place to register.
There's no register, no.
So
It's,
just
it's
us?
in the state law that the villages can become, that we can become an association.
Okay,
So we could always refer to, if anyone asks, by section so village of state law, village law, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Didn't we have a problem with a not-for-profit that they couldn't open a bank account without a federal ID number?
Depends on the bank. Some banks would, that's a good point. You can,
You can open up, in some banks as a club, I only know that because
You can open it as a
I
club,
did it for the town of Sydney Republican Committee.
right?
I just opened a bank account for them.
Now, the other,
It depends on the bank.
the other, yes, and depending upon the bank, I don't think Delhi Bank as an example will, you need to show that kind of documentation. If you walk in next door at the credit union, they'll be fine. Community bank, they'll be fine. So opening as a club account is one option. The other, which would complicate one of your villages reporting, is that it opens as a sub account within the village of Margaretville, say, or whatever municipality it is. I mean, I suppose the other option is we can do it through the CDF.
I know we ran into, we had to get an EIN number. Yeah. For a nonprofit organization that was gonna donate monies to our police department. And it took a while to get that EIN number. And I don't know how shake out for us.
If the
you know.
council is going, if as a group that you're gonna be seeking grant funding, that's a whole other
Right, that's a
level
whole different-
of stuff.
Right.
So if you're just looking for a place to deposit some funds that you may or may not do anything with, then, that depends on.
I don't recall it being a huge issue when I was treasurer for the Stanford Teachers Association. And I don't recall it being a huge issue having the account and maintaining it.
It just depends, it depends on the policies of that particular bank.
And what about the amounts?
I don't think they really care,
No.
with bank, more the better, bring it in,
I can call Delhi, ask him.
That would be great.
That was where we ran into the problem.
The Delhi Bank is gonna be a problem for you.
Oh, it is?
They're
Yeah.
different. They're a little different.
Like I said, if you walk into the credit union next door and see Trish, you'll be out in 10 minutes with your own.
The community bank too, you said, right?
Community bank, I know if you go see Tina here in Delhi, that likely won't be an issue. I don't know about NBT, I haven't had that
They,
experience.
in Sydney, they did it, 'cause I was surprised. I thought I was gonna have to go to the credit union. I went to NBT. 10 minutes. I had a bank account.
Yeah.
If you got your treasurer in Margaretville, it would make sense to try MBT.
I'll try it. I'll ask him and see what he said.
Because I think Delhi is where we.
Delhi was the problem. Yeah, if you stop in and see Kristen, I'm sure she'll set up something.
There again, your Delhi branch could be different. They might be a lot easier. you know?
No, they won't be.
No, no different.
It's all pretty tight.
Blame it on this minus school. That's the new person.
When you meet with
Isn't that the way
them
everybody
today-
else?
Well, I mean, I need to do it to show both sides to the board. Peg's going with me. She offered to come with, so, because we met with New York class on Monday night, they did a presentation for us. And I've already gotten an earful about how the bank feels about class, and
Sure.
I'm sure
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get one.
They want all their business, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we made a lot of money from.
That's the hard thing, is like, you really need to balance what the local, keeping it local with, and we're not talking about taking all our money out.
No, we
know?
have Wayne Bank that we use, and we even put a little money in community bank, but we have Wayne Bank. And we explain to them, we have all our checking account, and everything to them, and we have at least $300,000-400,000 that we use all the time. And night class,
And you're complaining about two?
yeah, but I mean, that all comes out the bills going it out, but with night class. We made $130,000 last year, that's a lot of money,
Yeah,
and they gave us 5.2% daily. Wayne Bank tried to match it, And they said, well, we look at the beginning of the month and the end of the month. And I said, well, it could change a lot in between that time period. So we didn't go, we didn't change it.
Yeah.
But
If MBT doesn't work, can I try Wayne?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I've made out with Wayne personally,
Sure.
sent some stuff, so I might be able to get there.
Well, the minimum balance is an issue too, because I mean, I know Delhi will offer 3.5%, but you have to maintain a monthly balance of 2 million. Well,
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly.
You got 2 million, what do you?
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna be counting
But
nickels and
nothing
dimes at
New
that
York,
point.
you
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to balance the needs.
They came and sat down with me. Don't expect,
I'm not expecting much, but I mean, I have to do the gesture,
Mhm.
so. And then ultimately, it's the board's decision. It's just my job to present them with options.
Yep.
So,
You like the night class, right? You guys do it, don't you?
love it.
Yeah.
In fact, because we have some HRAs that we have to maintain for parts of our contract, we're looking to and have gotten verification that we can establish those HRAs within my class as
You
separate
can?
accounts.
My clerk argues with me and told me that was illegal. We couldn't do it.
Contact your night class.
Yeah, contact my friends.
Are you part of night class? Are you in that at all?
I was, yeah, I am just started after these guys brought, yes,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
like, we're going to Wayne, because Wayne offered that, but I'm in communication right now with my,
I think night class is the way to go.
Right.
I went through the same argument with NBT and Community Bank. They were.
But they're upset because
livid.
they're losing out on interest on that extra
Yep.
money. But night class is so good that you can, there's no fees to take money out. It's not a CD. You can take it out, put it in anytime, middle of the night, whatever. It's all done through. It's nice, you know. When I sign those things, I look at, 20,000, 20,000. So it really,
Makes
You
a
know,
huge
y'all are
difference.
messing with the gravy train.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Chris told us that he didn't do that because he knew that the banks were gonna start.
oh yeah, I know, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
just, I mean, there's a lot of money that they're sitting there.
NBT was upset, 'cause we pulled out, not all of it, we kept some there, but we pulled out a lot of money and they were upset at first. Oh, let us try, you had your chance. You didn't come over and say anything to us about anything. Then when we said we're gonna pull out, now you wanna try and do something.
Well, and Wayne seems to be the one that I've heard is most willing to work with municipalities.
Yes.
It might not be exact, but then when you weigh like, oh, the rates might fluctuate and the ease of being able to access the money, although class sounds like it's very easy to access, but setting up the
Very.
account and the resolution, and that all takes time if you
Our-
can get a similar rate.
Now, our clerk is not up to par with computers. They're not very computer savvy, and my class was all electronic. So they liked more of the Wayne side.
Yeah.
If you put your request in this morning, you'll have the money in the afternoon. You put your request in the afternoon, you have it the
The
next
next
morning.
day.
you know, what I've ever found that comes close to my class is, Green County Bank. Stanford put me onto them. They actually have that, and they are pretty close.
But that's not local.
That's
Yeah.
not local, that's absolutely not local, no.
Community Bank came in last week, 2 weeks ago. I sat down with it because they hear what's going on. And he said, oh, we'll match it. And I said, well, if you can do the daily
The
interest.
daily
for it.
is the huge,
And he says, we can for a while. I said, well, no, it can't be for a while, because it's gonna have to be for a period of time, because otherwise, but if you can do that, then yeah, you come back with an offer, and I will take some of the funds, I'll ask the board, we'll put some of the funds in there, and we'll try it, we'll see. I said, I don't mind sharing a little bit, as long as we're gonna be making the same amount of money. I said, but you gotta remember, we work for the public, the people, the taxpayers, we have to do the best for them that we can.
I even had one of the bank people tell me that you gotta do what you gotta do, you fiduciarily responsible
Yep.
for.
so like I said, we're not talking about pulling every.
Yeah.
It's
No, we
just the
didn't
chunks
pull-
that we
yeah.
can pull out, yeah.
And Ed's making millions.
You're just not saying what you're making, you're doing all right.
I think just this year, so far, we've made about 60,000,
Wow.
which makes a huge
Which
difference.
makes a big
Wow.
difference in the budget, yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of
And that's
money.
on we took most of our money that we collected at the beginning of the year for taxes and put it right in there. And have been able to kind of slowly work off of that, but starting with 1.2, we've earned 60,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
At this point, so.
You know, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Ed, is when we first met, you mentioned this, and obviously it's been working for you so good. And my only hold back on this is how secure is this? Meaning, like you just said, this is taxpayers' money that we're dealing with, so we have to be very careful. Is this something that, and again, in a year it's gonna disappear, and then we lost?
No, night classes have been around for a while. They're a finance company. They're very well known.
They FDIC insured.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because again, I didn't get a
They're
chance to
insured, yeah, no.
look them up or anything, but you know, it's in the back of my mind saying, you know, we gotta try this. And you guys, every time that we
Yeah.
meet, you bring it up again, like,
Well, because it works, and we're just looking to have everybody get in on it with, if we were the other way around, we don't tell nobody, we just keep it to ourselves. We want everybody to make a piece of the cake, and, you know,
yes,
and you can take a lot of funds and put it in there. You say money you're getting from your taxes, say money you're getting from running your wastewater treatment plant, with money you got for the insurances that you're gonna have to be paying. You can take all that and put it in there, just keep it separate that you know, because I get every month, I'll get the thing from the wastewater treatment plant, from this plant, from DPW for that,
mhm.
and we'll get the interest, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
So,
We just signed up, the village of Fleischman's just signed up a CD account probably about 2 months before I came in. And the CD account that we have, which is over $300,000. I was just looking at the financials 2 days ago. And you know, what you get for that amount of money, like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
These guys are making so much money on
yeah,
this.
I think last time I looked, it was 5.2% daily.
Daily.
That's-
No.
That's
Not 5.29.
So you leave it in for 7 days and you have $1,000.
Yeah.
How do they make the money though?
Because it's tied to the Fed, some kind of Fed benchmark, so they take the money, like it's 5.8 right now, I think. Because he just presented to us on Monday, and I do recommend, like, he presented to the board, we made it public, so a public could ask questions as well if they, you know, through us if they needed to. But yeah, it's 5.8, they take 1.5 points or something like that off the top, so it's not like you're getting bills, you're just getting 5.3, they're taking the basis points off the top, so that's how, and it's for people that run the whole thing. So they're lean and mean. I mean, that was my thing too, is how, you know, how much are they making? It's an $11 billion fund, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So.
And a large portion of that is invested in, guess where? Banks.
Full circle here.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
out there, so take advantage of it. You
I
know,
will. I
don't
will.
be.
They've never
don't be-
lost money. They've been around since the 80s.
Wow,
So they're well known, so.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. And
And-
if you worry about it, just take a small portion and start with a
Yes,
small portion.
yes.
And try it and you'll see.
And this is online that you go
Yep,
in?
everything's
Yeah,
online.
everything's online.
They will send you everything, the whole package. They will.
They'll have
walk
somebody you
through
talk to, and they have somebody come down and talk to you,
Yep.
they'll help you.
Right.
set it
You
up.
can put it in and take it out same day if you needed to,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. And they don't charge you for the transactions or anything like that.
So now do you have to do a resolution, a motion before you move the
Yes.
funds as a
Yes.
village? And be approved by your board?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, the board.
Okay.
That was the hardest thing for me in the beginning, is to get used to the fact that I gotta get everything to the board. You know, you think because you're the mayor, you can just go ahead and, no. A lot of times I get
Yes.
slapped around.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. My clerk would do that. Ed, you
Up to
can't do that.
$1,500.
My artist was my clerk. She wanted no part. She thought it was illegal. She thought
Yeah.
we couldn't, she wanted no part of it.
Mhm.
That's my clerk. She's just very gun shy, because she's not computer savvy. You always want the paper, you know, and it's like, well, if we can make more money, because every day it's
a no-brainer.
You don't have to be a computer analyst. It's really simple.
Yeah.
It really is.
The biggest part is that because it sounds too good to be true, it's
Yeah.
very, very
People get
difficult
nervous.
to convince.
Everybody's looking
people.
for where the
Yeah.
catch
What they,
is.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
As a board member, we voted for Wayne, but I heard about night class, and I'm like, why can't we do it? I got pushed back. Cause they're the ones, the clerks are the ones doing it, and they're like, well, we don't know, so it's like,
Well, call Micah, they'll
Get
come
trained.
down, they'll sit with you, they'll help you out.
yeah.
So your clerks do it, not your bookkeepers?
Yep.
Okay,
Kim was very reluctant to start with, but now that she's done, whatever you wanna do,
The
however.
village,
much-
the village and town's a little different, right? Because you have a clerk and you have a bookkeeper.
yeah, so I think our
We have
bookkeepers
a-
would be,
We
Yeah.
have a clerk and a deputy clerk, same thing, and
One of the things that once the board establishes the fund, then you as the one that is responsible for the budget can move monies in and out of that budget without the board approval,
right.
Right.
but you would be better off keeping them informed,
Mhm.
but you are the one that shifts the monies after
Yeah.
those are approved, those accounts.
We get monthly
County in it.
figures, I get them on
Oh,
a sheet, I look at them, I
no.
initial
Not even
sign
close.
everything.
Yeah, so at this moment, we do, I do the
I saw the
motions to
resolution.
approve moving money
Yeah.
from
I
one
did that
bank
math
account to
and
the
it's just
other,
like,
to,
Yeah.
from one
You can
account to the other.
self-finance a lot of
So that's what we do right
departments
now.
on that, yeah.
Probably by law, I'm not sure that you are obligated to do that.
Okay,
That's what it shows.
Clerks can do that.
Yeah.
The clerks, the treasurer can
Well, and
can
Right.
do that at your direction.
right,
The minimum
But like I
amount
said, I
being
always
part of
keep
this program is 10,000 and it's a
trustees
company
informed.
that
Yeah.
just,
so my treasurer tells me,
they identify how much.
You know, we're
money
running out of money
they
on
can
this
put in
account.
certain areas
We
for
gotta make a
investments. They
motion for
budget
this
and
account.
investments,
Yeah.
but they
So
don't do
during
it
our
generally.
board meetings,
Cash flow issues and
I'll
that
make
kind
the
of stuff. You can
motion,
say, okay,
and
this
then
is
the
going
board
to
approves
senior,
it.
this needs to be a
And then,
reserve account.
you know,
So
we
they're
are lending
keeping
money
that
from these
component of
account
business
numbers,
strategy,
and
but
then-
they're not
Do you have the blue
executing,
Nikon book?
I do.
maximizing anything
I
else, like
do.
you saw the banks there,
Go
right?
through
With the
that
exception of Wayne,
and read it.
which who knows if
because
they
like I said,
flipped up and saw and said match.
I think you have the authority to
Yeah.
move those funds
Yeah.
as needed.
okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was 6
So
months
I'm
ago.
like, when we first met,
I'm
again, I've been,
99% sure finance was my first choice.
this is my 5 months in office,
Just because of who the
so
head
I'm
is and
learning a lot of
the
stuff,
initial
but
meetings. so-
Doesn't matter how long you've been still learning, I've been doing it 15 years and I'm still
Exactly.
learning.
Yeah.
Selfish, that was what it was, selfish.
So just when you think you know something, I learned that on the job when I was doing my police work, I used to say, I did it for like 20 years, I said, there's nothing else I can see, I've done everything, I'm in the ghetto, I've seen it all the homicides, and then all of a sudden, bang, something else comes, I said, look at that, I can shut my mouth because something happened that I never seen before, so
right,
you're always
learning.
learning.
Unless there's any further business that we need to attend to, our next meeting is scheduled for. Gosh, I wish I could find my calendar.
I have one.
You got it yours?
It would be the
That'd be
second
the
Wednesday, the 14th.
The 14th of February.
Valentine's Day.
Bring your hearts.
Jeff, I'm gonna be away that day.
You can't be waiting that day.
I'm in Tupelo, Mississippi.
I'm sorry. you can't go.
I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. So, I'm happy to teach you how to
Okay,
start this. I'll have your, I'll have it set.
Oh, did you make the offices? Did we,
me, you.
and
John.
did we all vote on it? Shouldn't we have to?
I think we were all in favor of it.
Everybody's in favor, okay, just to
I
make
didn't
sure.
hear anybody
Yeah, just make
object.
sure.
Okay.
No one else
Okay.
volunteered,
Yeah.
so.
All right, that just wanna be, put that in the,
And I'll put that in.
Right.
List that,
So that's
when I
important.
send out that.
Now, Ray, you said this is recording, right? Can you get a
I
copy?
will send you a copy.
Awesome.
It's great to have you. Well.
Yeah. I'm glad
yeah,
to be
and
here.
then like, tell everybody if you guys can't make it, that anybody from the board can come down with the clerk too, you know, this way, something may come up and you can't make it, then, you know.
right.
And it's good for the board members too, this way they see in person.